The alien guardian, the blackness of space, stretched in every direction. No stars here were bright enough to comfort the eyes. It was the kind of silence that made even the most experienced spacefarers uneasy. Captain Ryland's salvage ship, the Horizon, drifted slowly toward a massive shape ahead. At first, it looked like an asteroid, but as they got closer, its sharp edges and smooth metal plates came into view. It was a derelict alien ship, bigger than a city block. Its hull was scarred, its lights dead, and no sign of movement came from within. "This thing's been out here for centuries," whispered Ina, the ship's engineer. Her voice carried a mix of awe and fear. Ryland didn't answer. He kept his eyes on the view screen. They had been tracking an old distress signal, weak and broken. It had led them straight to this alien wreck, a wreck no human records had ever mentioned. They docked with the silent vessel. The airlock opened with a hiss, and the crew stepped inside. Their helmet lights revealed walls covered in strange carvings. The symbols glowed faintly, as if remembering an ancient light. No dust floated in the air. It was as though the ship had been sealed away from time itself. The corridors were wide, their ceilings arching like cathedral roofs. Every step echoed, yet the sound was swallowed by the ship's emptiness. There were no bodies, no signs of struggle, only the silent, glowing symbols that seemed to guide them deeper. Ina brushed her gloved hand over one of the carvings. "They're warm," she said quietly. No one could explain why. Finally, they reached the heart of the ship. A massive circular chamber opened before them. In its center stood a crystal-like capsule. Inside it lay something that took their breath away. An egg, taller than any human, its shell smooth and silver. Faint light pulsed from within, like the slow beat of a giant heart. The light shimmered through the crystal walls. It was beautiful and unsettling at the same time. Ryland stepped forward. "We've found our fortune," he muttered. But as he reached out to touch the crystal, the floor trembled. A low, resonating hum filled the chamber. The crew froze, the shadows shifted, and something emerged from the far side of the room. It was tall, impossibly tall. Its body was covered in thick, scaled armor, the color of deep space. For glowing eyes watched them with cold intelligence. Its hands were clawed, but they hung loosely at its sides. When it moved, the sound was like stone grinding on stone. The alien's presence filled the chamber like a storm. Ina's breath caught in her throat. Ryland instinctively raised his weapon. "Don't," said Jace, the youngest crew member, his voice shaking. The alien was not attacking, it was guarding. The alien stepped between them and the egg. Its eyes moved from one human to another. Then it made a deep, rumbling sound. Not words, but something older. The walls seemed to respond, the carvings glowing brighter. For a moment, Ryland felt the ship itself was alive. The alien lowered its head slightly. It pointed one long claw toward the egg. The meaning was clear. The egg was not to be touched. "What's inside?" Anna whispered. No one answered. The alien's body shifted slightly, revealing scars across its armor. These were not the marks of time, they were the marks of battle. This creature had fought to protect whatever was in that egg, and it was still willing to fight. Ryland slowly lowered his weapon. They weren't here for a fight, at least, not yet. The alien took a step closer. It was close enough now that they could see faint blue light glowing beneath its scales. It radiated strength, but also patience, like a soldier who had been standing guard for lifetimes. Jace swallowed hard. "Why is it still here if the ship is dead?" he asked. Dr. Corin, the crew's xenobiologist, spoke softly. "Because whatever's in that egg hasn't hatched." That thought hung in the air like a cold shadow. The alien made a sound again. This time, the walls responded with shifting, light patterns. Dr. Corin's visor translated a fraction of the symbols. They told fragments of a story, a war fought long ago, a dying race, and one last hope placed inside a single egg. An egg that could bring their kind back, or end countless others. The alien's four eyes locked on Ryland. It didn't blink, it didn't move aside. It was a message without words. Leave, or be destroyed. Ryland took a slow breath. "Let's go," he said finally. Ina looked at him like he'd lost his mind. "You're just going to walk away from this?" Ryland's eyes stayed on the alien. "For now," he said, because deep inside, he knew this was not the last time they would see the Guardian. As they backed out of the chamber, the alien didn't follow. It turned its back to them, facing the egg again. The pulsing light from within the shell continued its slow rhythm, like it had been doing for centuries, and would keep doing until the time was right. Back on the horizon, Ryland stood at the viewport, staring at the dark silhouette of the alien ship. He felt no victory in finding it, only questions that could change the fate of more than just humanity, because whatever was inside that egg was waiting, and the Guardian was not its owner, it was its jailer. The horizon drifted away from the alien vessel. Inside the ship, no one spoke for a long time. The image of the towering Guardian still burned in their minds. Ryland sat in the captain's chair, staring at the view of the endless stars. He had seen many strange things in deep space, but nothing compared to what they had just found. Ina broke the silence. "We need to go back," she said. Her voice carried a mix of excitement and greed. "That egg could be worth more than all our other jobs combined." Dr. Corin shook his head slowly. "You didn't feel it, did you?" He said. "That creature wasn't guarding treasure for itself. It was protecting the galaxy from whatever is inside." Ryland leaned forward. "Explain," he said. Dr. Corin tapped his visor, pulling up the recordings of the glowing symbols they had seen on the alien ship's walls. Some of them had been partially translated during their visit. Now, with the ship's computer working on them, the meaning became clearer. The carvings told of a war that had raged across star systems thousands of years ago. A war so destructive it had nearly ended multiple civilizations. The alien race they had encountered was known as the Veilthari. They had once been conquerors, feared by all, but in their final days they faced an enemy so powerful that even they could not defeat it. The record spoke of a weapon, not a machine, not a bomb, but a living being, created in secret and stored inside a protective shell. The ancient egg's purpose was unclear. Some parts of the record called it the seed of salvation, others called it the harbinger of silence. Even the Veilthari seemed unsure if it was meant to save their kind or destroy their enemies. Ryland's stomach tightened. "So you're saying that thing in the egg could either save the galaxy or end it?" Dr. Corin nodded slowly. "And the Guardian is the last of its kind, bound to watch over it until the time comes." Ina leaned back, crossing her arms. "Or until someone smart enough comes along to take it and use it." Her words made Jace stiffen. "That's exactly the problem," he said. "What if the wrong people get it?" Ryland's mind raced. There were buyers out there who would pay anything for a weapon like that. But there were also governments and shadow factions who would risk entire worlds to control it. And here they were, a small salvage crew, with no real power caught in the middle. The debate was interrupted by a sharp alarm. Sensors showed a small ship entering the sector at high speed. It wasn't broadcasting an ID code. That meant trouble. "Raiders," Ryland muttered. "They must have picked up our trail." The raider ship changed course, heading straight for the alien vessel. "They're going after the egg," Jace said, panic in his voice. Ryland slammed his fist on the console. "They don't know what they're dealing with." Dr. Corin's face turned pale. "If they try to take it, the Guardian will fight. And if the fight damages that chamber..." He didn't finish the thought. Everyone knew what could happen. Ryland made his decision. "Prep the horizon for pursuit," he ordered. "We're going back." The salvage ship roared forward, engines burning hard. The alien vessel loomed ahead. Once again, through the viewport, they could see the raider ship already docked on the far side. The crew moved fast. Ryland and Ina took the lead, weapons ready. Jace stayed at the comms to monitor their position. Dr. Corin followed, carrying translation equipment. Inside the alien ship, the atmosphere had changed. The glowing symbols were brighter, pulsing like a heartbeat. The hum they had heard before was now louder. Then they heard it, the sound of blaster fire. It echoed down the corridors, sharp and violent. When they reached the central chamber, chaos was unfolding. The Guardian stood in front of the crystal capsule. Its armored body was dented and scorched from raider weapons, but it moved with unstoppable force. Each swing of its claw sent attackers flying, yet more kept coming. The air shimmered with heat from the fight. One raider managed to break through the Guardian's defense and reached the capsule. His hands touched the crystal, and for a split second, the entire room seemed to shift. The egg's light flared so bright it was blinding. A low, deep sound rumbled from within. It wasn't just light anymore. Something inside was moving. The Guardian roared, a sound that shook the walls. It grabbed the raider and hurled him back across the chamber. But the damage had been done. The egg's pulse was faster now. Whatever was inside was waking. Dr. Corin shouted over the noise. "It's too soon. If it hatches now, nothing will stop it." Ryland's eyes met the Guardian's for the first time since they had returned. In that moment, there was no hostility, only urgency. The Guardian pointed at them. Then, at the raiders. The meaning was clear. Help me stop them. Rylan nodded. Ina, cover the left. Corin, seal the door. Blaster fire lit up the chamber as the humans fought alongside the alien Guardian. For the first time, they were not intruders, they were allies. As the last of the raiders fell or fled, the Guardian turned back to the capsule. Its claws traced the surface gently. The light inside slowly began to fade back to its normal, steady rhythm. The danger had passed. For now, the chamber was quiet again. Only the soft hum of the crystal capsule filled the air. The egg's light had returned to its slow, steady pulse, but the damage was not forgotten. The Guardian stood motionless, its glowing eyes fixed on the humans. It was not anger they saw this time. It was something else, a deep, heavy weariness. Rylan lowered his weapon. His hands were still shaking from the fight. You saved us, Jace said softly over the comms. But Dr. Corin shook his head. No, we saved it. The Guardian moved closer. Its towering shape cast a long shadow over them. It pointed to the egg, then to the humans. Then it pressed one clawed hand to the floor. The glowing symbols around the chamber began to shift again. They moved like flowing water, forming new patterns. Dr. Corin's visor flashed as the translation system worked. The message was clear. The egg must remain sealed until the appointed time. He spoke the words aloud. Rylan frowned. What happens if it doesn't? Corin's voice was grim. Then, what is inside will awaken without guidance. Without restraint, the Guardian stepped back. Its eyes shifted toward the far wall. A section of the metal slowly opened, revealing a smaller chamber. The crew followed cautiously inside. There was a viewing platform made of the same crystal material as the capsule. The Guardian gestured for them to look. They stepped forward and gasped. Below the platform stretched a massive hangar-like space, and within it hundreds of crystal capsules, each containing an egg. Most were dark and lifeless, but a few glowed faintly, just like the one in the main chamber. Jace's voice cracked. There's more. There's so many more. Dr. Corin stared in disbelief. This isn't just one hope for their species, he whispered. This is an entire army, waiting to be born. Rylan turned to the Guardian. Why? Show us this. The alien's voice rumbled low. The symbols lit again, and Corin translated. Because the day will come when they are needed, and your kind will have to choose to stand with us, or be swept away. The weight of those words sank into everyone. The Guardian wasn't just protecting the egg from danger. It was protecting the galaxy from an event that had not yet happened. A war that was still to come. Suddenly, the ship's internal alarms blared. Corin's scanner lit up with red warnings. Multiple ships inbound. Not raiders this time. Something bigger. The Guardian's eyes narrowed. It moved past them, heading toward the main chamber. The humans followed, weapons ready. Through the ship's cracked viewing panels, they saw dark shapes emerging from hyperspace. Sleek warships, with jagged wings, painted black. Their weapons glowed with the heat of charging plasma. Jace recognized the design instantly. Those are Syndicate hunters. They'll take everything. They won't stop. The Guardian turned to Rylan and the others. The symbols flashed once more. This battle is not yours. Leave. Rylan stepped forward. We can help. The Guardian shook its head slowly. You have seen what must be protected now. Survive to remember. It moved toward the crystal capsule and placed both hands on it. The egg's light flared brighter. Energy rippled through the entire ship. The crew felt the floor tremble beneath their boots. Rylan hesitated, but the choice was clear. They ran back to the horizon, sealing the airlock as the alien ship's hull began to glow with strange energy. Through their view screen, they saw the Guardian standing in the chamber, unmoving. The Syndicate warships closed in. Then, without warning, the alien vessel unleashed a shockwave of blue light. It hit the enemy ships like a tidal wave, tearing through their shields. Metal twisted, engines died, and the Syndicate fleet scattered into the void. When the light faded, the alien ship drifted silently again. The enemy was gone, but the Guardian was nowhere to be seen. The crystal capsule still pulsed with steady light, untouched. The crew sat in silence as the horizon drifted away. Jace finally spoke. Do you think it survived? Rylan stared at the faint silhouette of the alien ship in the distance. I think it's still there, he said quietly, watching, waiting, guarding. Dr. Corin closed his visor. We have to tell someone, he said. Rylan shook his head. No, not yet. If the wrong people knew, they would come for the egg, and if the Guardian was gone, nothing would stop them. As the stars stretched into streaks and the ship jumped to hyperspace, Ryland felt a strange certainty. One day, they would see the Guardian again, and on that day, the choice it had spoken of would be theirs to make. For now, the egg slept, but in the cold silence of space, time was already counting down.